Even though it says it through my fucking. It's good. All right, welcome
We
back.
going, bro?
Easy E.
What's going on?
Once again, Bellator 264. 4-fight main card, possibly a 5-fight main card. We only did 4 fights. Main event: John Salter against Gegard Mousasi for the middleweight title. We're going to start it off here. First fight: Davion Franklin versus Everett Cummings. What do you got?
All right, man. This fight, 2 undefeated heavyweights. There's a lot of hype behind Davion Franklin. I think for good reason. Dude is looking to be a really exciting guy. He's pretty young. He's like 27. Fights at Jackson Wink. Honestly, 3 fights, doesn't have a lot of experience. I've never actually watched a fight, so I don't really know a whole lot about his fights, although from the highlights I saw, dude's got mad power. And the guy's fighting Everett Cummings. He's super heavyweight, 15-0. Sounds really impressive. I looked at his record. I've never heard anyone he's fought. Coming in, he's got a lot of finish. He's actually got a 100% finish rate, which is impressive. However, I think it's against a bunch of cans, pretty much. So, and on top of that, being a super heavyweight, he's the smaller guy at 6 foot, fighting at 280 pounds, super heavyweight, whereas Franklin is 6'2", 265. So if they're fighting at 265, Franklin's gonna be the bigger guy, big muscular guy, whereas Everett Cummings kind of like a fluffy fat guy. So I don't really know anything about either of these guys. Can't really give a good educated guess on what's going to happen, but I think everyone thinks Franklin should win. So, but I know you know a little more about these guys. So,
like you said, weird about the super heavyweight thing because Franklin does have 2 to 3 inch height advantage and a 5-inch reach advantage over Cummings. You did speak about Cummings' record, 15-0, but the first 4 fights that he had on his career were against people making their professional debut, and then the next 2 fights after that, he fought guys that were 0-1, and then his opponent's combined record after those first 6 fights are 49 and 58. You were right. He's got a 100% finish rate, 10 wins by submission, 5 by knockout. Franklin, like you said, has got more heavy hands. It looks like on paper Cummings would be more of a grappler. But yeah, I mean, you spoke about it. I didn't really recognize any big names from Cummings' record either. Franklin, I do know the 3 fighters that he beat. 2 of the guys, Holton and King, both have fought in Bellator a few times now. Trains at Jackson Wink. I think if we had to give a prediction on it, I think it would be very surprising, but I would throw all the money down on Franklin just because he's going to come into the fight more in shape because it's more closer to his natural weight class. He's going to be the bigger fighter in better shape, and he's got the striking advantage, it would seem, and every fight starts standing. And when you're unless you're that much stronger than the guy, it's not going to be that easy to take him down and get the fight to the ground. So
I feel that he's a real big, powerful guy. So he's going to have the good hips. He's younger by a lot. I think Cummings is like 35 or something like that. And Franklin's 27. Plus, he trains at Jackson Wink, one of the best camps in the world. Yeah, it kind of seems like one of those fights where they're feeding him somebody that they think he should win, but has a really good looking record, so it makes it look more impressive when he does win. Kind of thing.
Perfect way.
What are you gonna do, bro? You gotta have lower level fights when you're only 3 fights into your career. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, all 3.
What we got next? Next we got let's see here.
Let's say one more thing. All 3 fights of Franklin, all being in Bellator. Cummings has yet to fight in Bellator yet.
You sure? I thought I saw he had a fight or 2 in Bellator.
If they were old. I didn't see any. I just looked at the most recent one.
He's mostly fought in some regional circuit, or I guess regional, some much smaller thing. I think I saw like 1 or 2 Bellator fights, but I don't know. I might be wrong.
Really quick. Gladiator.
Now this next fight, man, you see it?
He's got 2 in Bellator. Yeah, 2018 and 2015.
Yeah, it's just weird. He's had like a 1 fight in Bellator, then a couple, like a year or 2 away from Bellator, then 1 more fight, and a year or 2 away from Bellator. Now he's back.
Honestly, his most, I would say 2 of his 3 or he's got maybe 4 guys that he's fought that have a decent record, and 2 of those fights have been in Bellator.
Yeah.
Or maybe 5 fights with a decent record.
You never know what's going to happen. I mean, either Franklin is going to show that, he is extremely dangerous and is going to go in here and knock people out, or he's going to show extreme weakness probably in the ground game against a guy like Cummings, who I think probably pretty well versed on the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those fights. It'd be interesting to see what happens, but I don't know if it really means a whole lot either way, whoever wins.
Yeah, I think it would be more for Franklin.
Yeah.
Going 4-0. One of his fights against a 15-0. His 3 other opponents all have winning records. So
yeah,
4-0 in Bellator. That's what Bellator is trying to do right now. They're trying to really build up like homegrown names. I'm saying guys that came through Bellator and made their name through Bellator.
Yeah, for sure. Just a smart move by them.
Yeah, next card would be Magomedov and Davion Stotts.
Not to be confused with Magomedov. This is Magomedov. I had trouble when I looked this guy up. I found a Magomedov, who's a K1 kickboxer who's like 50 years old by now, fought back in the 90s and early 2000s. And I was like, bro, no way this is the same guy. So I looked it up some more and I found a younger Magomedov, who I think's got a much more impressive career so far. You go. What you got on this one, man?
Magomed or Davion Stotts trains out of Rufus Sports, one of those guys over there with the Pettis brothers. 16-1, 4-0 in Bellator. His wins include Cass Bell, Keith Lee, brother of Kevin Lee, and Josh Hill was his most recent one. His only career loss or professional loss was to Merab Devashili in 2017. I think that's Ring of Combat. 9 out of 16 of his wins are decision. And he's only been knocked out, or he was knocked out in his one and only loss. He'll be going against Magomedov, who's 18-1, 2-0 in Bellator. He's got a decision win over Matthias Matase, and a submission win over CJ Hamilton back in April, his most recent fight. His only loss was a decision loss to Peter Yan, current UFC bantamweight champion. That was in 2017. He also has a win over Yan 1 year prior in 2016. 9 out of 18 of his wins via submission and 7 by decision. So right off the bat, first thing you see is gas tank. Both guys got a really good gas tank. And, each one of them probably more dominant than the other in their respective strength, I guess. So very good fight. What do you think?
Yeah. So, by the way, is it Davion? Is that how you say it? It's a weird looking name. I wasn't sure how to say it. It's something like that.
I think so.
We'll just say Davion. Dude, not only does he train at Rufus Sport, he is the wrestling instructor at Rufus Sport. He was a 2-time national championship champion Division II wrestler at Nebraska at some smaller at Kearney, which actually is the same school that Kamaru Usman was a wrestler at. They actually were there at the same time, but Usman was a little older. So he kind of took him under his wing. By the time Usman was gone, after he won his championships, Stotts won his championships there, which, really impressive. It's a really good wrestling school. And as we've seen by Usman and probably a lot of other fighters like Division I, Division II, by the time you're 30 years old, whether you wrestle Division I, Division II doesn't really mean a whole lot as far as how good you might be at wrestling. I think very similarly to Usman, he's been finished once, otherwise undefeated. Very impressive. And the guy he's got finished by is one of the best 135ers in the world, one of the best in the UFC, Philly. So his opponent, Magomedov, extremely impressive as well. Like you said, his one loss is to Petr Yan, not the current UFC champion, but might as well be. Might as well be. Your boy, Alistair, or fucking I said Alistair, Aljo. Aljo's the champ, and rightfully so. I might add, the American, the rightful UFC champ.
Oh god.
And won't be after a few months from now. But
well, you don't got him in the rematch, huh?
No, I got Yan knock him out.
Yeah, I don't think so.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. I don't know. We'll see. So man, yeah, Magomed, shown to be more of a finisher. Stott's shown to be more of a decision fighter, although he's got some finishes. I think that Stott's wrestling is the highest level wrestling that Magomed's ever faced, probably by a lot, as far as pure wrestling. I mean, dude, the guy, he's the wrestling instructor. As far as what you can see on Root Sport website, he's the wrestling instructor at Root Sport. Okay, one of the bigger camps in America. And not only that, but he's an assistant wrestling coach at his university he wrestled at. He's an assistant wrestling coach at Askren Wrestling Academy. I mean, dude's legit. As legit could be when it comes to freestyle wrestling. But I really think that he's going to be able to grind it out and have a safe game plan. It's going to avoid the submissions that Magomed's going to try to, employ on him during the fight. He's going to be able to get it out of the ground, and he's going to be able to put himself in safe positions on top and score points with the wrestling and lead himself to a decision win. Although, Magomed's the big favorite for the fight. I think I see why, but I think Stotts is that type of guy who, especially with that one loss, kind of like you've seen with the Kamaru Usman, it's nowhere but up from there. And, I think he's going to dominate with that high level wrestling and smart game plan.
Magomed's a Sambo guy? Or no?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if Magomed, that would be my biggest thing. I've never, maybe I'll leave it.
I mean, he's definitely from that area of the world, right? With the Habibs and the Islams, and
he should have something on his page that says, what style of fighting he is and shit.
Yeah, man. I put mostly stuff about Stotts. I think we know more about Magomed as far as like based on his opponents and stuff. I think he's more proven. So I looked a lot into Stotts, man. I was really impressed with what I saw. I really got him for the upset on that one. But yeah, I'm not sure if Magomed comes from the Sambo background or what. But it would make sense.
Yeah, Dag fighter.
Mm-hmm.
That team. Let's see who that team's got on there. Nobody. Oh, it's got Zabit. They trained with Zabit, Sadna Magomedov. So that's those guys, right? That's Khabib.
He trains with Saeed.
Yeah, it's Saeed Nurmagomedov and Zabit Margamad.
I don't think. I think they're friends. I don't think they train in the same gym as Khabib.
No, because Zabit was just when the last Bellator card when Khabib went 3-0. Zabit was there with those guys.
Yeah, he was with them. I seen him. He was wearing like the Bellator gear.
Yeah,
and all that stuff. He might. I mean, I guess he might now. As far as I remember, when Zabit was kind of coming up, and everyone was talking about being like another Khabib kind of guy, but like a striker version. I remember finding out that he did not actually train with them, although they know each other and that they're friends and stuff. I actually looked at Saeed Nurmagomedov. I thought, like, is this like Khabib's cousin or something like that? I didn't find anything about their actual relation to each other. He's another impressive fighter too from the area of the world. The area of the world is just booming right now too, man.
Yeah, my only point in bringing up if he's got a Sambo background, just because Khabib was kind of shown throughout his career is that Sambo is kind of a more dominant style of wrestling. So like, if I would have had to pick, if somebody was black belt or whatever it is you can be in Sambo, and the other guy was a 5-time national champion in Division I wrestling, I'd probably go with the Sambo guy. You know what I mean? The guy who is more dominant Sambo. But I don't know if that's his thing or not. You know what I mean?
I would agree with that as baseline. Because the Sambo, they strike and they submit.
Yeah. So it's more realistic towards MMA grappling.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you see a lot of times the guys who come from high-level wrestling backgrounds that they end up getting choked out early on, because wrestling, you don't have to really get choked out. So you put yourself in a position where you're vulnerable to submission artists. So it's probably pretty hard to break those habits, So, I mean, I would agree with that as baseline. But I think once these guys are like years and years into their career, I think having either one as like the base for their skill set, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard. I think they're probably pretty equal when it comes down to it. I mean, how many high-level Sambo guys have been successful in MMA versus how many freestyle wrestling guys have been successful in MMA?
I'd say all the Sambo guys are pretty successful.
You got to think there's a lot more successful Sambo guys who we've never heard of, like in MMA and stuff. Or maybe they never made the transition to MMA.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe wasn't exposed, no exposure in that part of the world.
I like stats too. I'd like to go with stats too, but just so that we don't pick the same fight every fight, I'm gonna go with Magomedov for that one.
Word. Yeah, I mean, look, man, it's not something I'm like dead set on who's gonna win. I think it's a very tough fight either way. But yeah, I got stats. I like stats for the
fight. Word. Andre Koreshev against Sabah Mousasi. What it is?
Sabah Mousasi is extremely unimpressive in his career so far, I think. He's got wins over Bobby Volker and Curtis Millender. Maybe I'm sort of a casual, but I've never heard of anyone else he fought other than those two guys. I don't know. He's got wins over those two guys. He's got a lot of knockouts. He's a knockout guy, but he's been knocked out a lot too. By, again, guys I've never heard of. Now, with Andre Koreshev, at one point, he was the best welterweight fighter in Bellator, or one of. He fought Ben Askren, lost to Ben Askren. Ben Askren was his only loss in his career. Beat Diego Lima, then beat Benson Henderson. Super impressive career, beating guys who we've all heard of as being some of the best in the world. Benson Henderson, former UFC champion. Diego Lima, current welterweight champion at Bellator. He's lost to Lorenz Larkin and I think 2 fights ago by decision. And he lost to Lima twice after his win against Lima, both by finish, one by submission, one by knockout. So, I mean, I think Lima got the better of it. But this dude's only 30 years old. It could definitely be one of those cases where he's had a couple setbacks, like, say, like a Charles Oliveira type of guy, where he's looked very impressive, had a couple setbacks, but he's still young. He's only 30. A lot of career ahead of him. Obviously very, very good. I think he's been very impressive in his career, shown to be a finisher, good hands, good striking, with some submission skills. Honestly, I think Andre Koreshev puts it on Mousasi and knocks him out with relative ease.
How do you say you don't know anybody that Mousasi has fought?
What do you mean? I just don't.
Curtis Millender, most of these are losses, so I hear you. Paul Daly, fucking.
Koreshev also beat Lyman Good too.
Dude, Abdul.
Oh yeah, Paul Daly. No, but he lost to Paul Daly though.
I'm saying some of these are losses, but you know these guys: Abdul Razak Al Hassan, Tim Means.
He lost to Tim Means by TKO. He lost to Paul Daly he lost to Tim Means by TKO, bro.
He lost pretty much all these fights, but you said you don't know none of them. I know.
No, I'm saying the wins. I'm talking about the wins.
I hear you. I mean, he's got some good records, though. I mean, like, it's not like he's been beating cans his whole life. What? 11-6, 8-5, 38-18, 10-4, 14-7, 18-5, 33-13. These are all records against guys he's beaten. So, I mean, yeah, we might not know some of them, but it's not like he's like the other guy and he's fighting 4 debut guys, 2 guys that haven't won any fights, and the fucking rest of them, none of them have a winning record. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Look, I'm not a big MMA math guy, but the guy got TKO'd by Tim Means. Not saying Tim Means sucks.
Dude, don't talk shit about the Dirty Bird.
I'm not saying Dirty Bird sucks. I'm just saying you get TKO'd by Tim Means. You get TKO'd by Paul Daly, like nowadays. Nowadays, bro.
Dude.
Come on.
Dude, you're going to make yourself look silly.
On some now. Bro, what? What?
Paul Daly's got power, dude.
I know he's got power.
Paul Daly's knocked out Saad Awad, Sabah Mousasi, Lorenz Larkin, and Brendan Ward, all within the past 5 years.
He knocked out Lorenz Larkin?
Yeah.
Oh shit! And Larkin just beat Koreshev.
Irish boy Brendan Ward.
Fuck that dude.
And Saad Awad.
Saad Awad, huh?
You know who Saad Awad is? That's like one of my favorites.
Nah, I've heard of him.
I love Saad Awad.
Yeah, nah. Paul Daly's not that great.
He's not, but you just said he's got no power. You said for him to get.
I didn't say he has no power.
You said.
I'm not saying. No,
career.
bro. I'm not saying it's shocking that he got knocked out by him. I'm saying it speaks volumes that he got knocked out by him.
I don't know, man. I was going Koreshev, but just because this doesn't count, I'm going Mousasi now.
Yeah, right. Bet money. No, it's gonna count. It's gonna
American,
count. Bet money on it.
oh, fuck that. This
Come
one
on.
don't count.
Nah, dude. Koreshev, I think's had a much more impressive career when it comes to his wins, and even like his losses and stuff against some of the best in the world. Lorenz Larkin's a guy I haven't been following in recent years, so I don't really know what's going on with him. He did just lose to Lorenz Larkin, but other than that, his only other losses are Ben Askren, who was the best in the world in Bellator at the time, and Diego Lima, who's currently the best in the world in Bellator. So, I got Koreshkov, knockout, relative ease, or TKO.
I think Koreshev wins too, but I'm picking Mousasi. Last fight
on it.
Main event, Gegard Mousasi, John Salter. Very interested to hear what you have to say about this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very.
Oh, you're very interested to see what I got to say, huh? Let's see what you got to say first. And we'll just see how impressed you are with Salter.
I'm extremely biased towards Salter, but Salter's 19-4, 8-1 in Bellator. Only loss was a submission to Rafael Lovato Jr. His wins include Andrew Kappel, Costello Van Stiens, how the fuck you say his name, Kendall Grove, Dustin Jacoby. 10 submission wins, 7 by knockout, which means he only has 2 wins by decision.
Yeah, he's a finisher.
Yeah, he's going up against Mousasi, who's 5-1 in Bellator. Only loss was a decision loss to Lovato Jr. Got wins over Douglas Lima, Machida, Roy McDonald, Rafael Carvalho, and then Alexander Shlemenko in his Bellator debut. 47-7-2 is his overall record. 25 knockouts, 13 submissions, and he's got 4 submission losses. Out of his 7 losses, 4 of them are by submission. And you're going up against the dangerous black belt in John Salter, which you talked about Ravion Stotts being the wrestling coach of his gym. John Salter is the head coach, I believe, of his gym and runs all jiu-jitsu for that entire school.
Yeah, man. I looked at John Salter. I looked up his background before MMA. I think he's got a pretty good MMA record as far as who he fought. He was an NAIA national champion wrestler. Basically, again, we talked about like Division II. It's basically the smaller version of the NCAA. So, still high level competition. And then also the NAGA, it's like National something Grappling Association or something, grappling champion for grappling. So obviously he's got very good wrestling and jiu-jitsu. I don't really think he's had many impressive wins. I don't know, man. I guess it's hard because like Gegard Mousasi's had such an illustrious career with so many wins of big names, like uber impressive wins. In my opinion, Gegard Mousasi is one of the most underrated fighters of all time.
I agree.
Does not get the credit he deserves at all for the career he's had. 2-time Bellator champ now at middleweight, Cage Warriors middleweight champion, Dream middleweight and light heavyweight champion, the only double champ in that organization. That was very short-lived. Strikeforce light heavyweight champ. Didn't have a super successful UFC run, although still pretty successful. He's got a win over Mark Hunt, bro. He beat Mark Hunt, Dan Henderson, Jacare Reyes, 101 Jacare Reyes, 101 Machida, getting that win back recently. Beat Weidman, beat Vitor, beat Melvin Manhoff, beat Hector Lombard. Dude's just like uber impressive career. Whereas Salter, I think, is really, really good. I do think he's really good. I think he probably doesn't have the same competitive experience that Mousasi has at that high level.
I disagree.
But I think he's got a lot of, as far as maybe competitive grappling experience, probably a lot of that. I don't know, man. I think Mousasi's too well-rounded, too savvy, probably too strong, and ends up stopping any attempts of grappling him and submitting him, and beats him by decision.
This guy, John Salter, has fought 3 people that have over 30 professional fights. One person, or yeah, one person of the one of those three people has over 50 professional fights. He's
Who
fought.
are these?
He's choked out Dustin Jacoby, who Dustin Jacoby has 18 professional kickboxing fights, a professional boxing fight, and he has 14 professional MMA fights. The ones with he's Jason McDonald was 24-13 when he fought him. Let's see, Kendall Grove was 23-16, and then there's one more. Jamie Jarr was 34-14. Although we only know one or two of those guys, still Dustin Jacoby had a almost 20 kickboxing fights before he started doing MMA. He got choked out by Salter. Kendall Grove is like a two-stripe black belt. Went through the UFC for years. He was submitted by Salter. Um, this guy is like on a different level when it comes to grappling, and Mousasi, yeah, he does have 56 pro fights, but it's not like this guy's new. He's not like 5-2 or no, he's like
No,
18-4, so he's got
no, he's no
22
rookie.
professional fights. He's been doing this, you know what I mean? And he trains with a lot of good fighters, man. His gym has a lot of good fighters, and then it says here he also goes to Gym O and trains at Gym O, which is Brian Barberina, those guys, Derek Brunson,
In North Carolina.
yeah, guys out in the Gastonia, Charlotte area.
Gastonia, yeah.
I mean, he's got an amazing amount of talent around him. He's going to come in with a slight reach advantage, I think, over Mousasi, but I think they're the same height or something like that. I know Mousasi, he's real underrated. He's got good grappling. He's beaten Mark Hunt, a bunch of heavyweights, like you said. But dude, first of all, everybody in this game in MMA declines at some point, and you got to think 56 fights in, it's got to be coming soon. He's not a young guy anymore. This is a young man sport. John Salter's not young or anything, but I mean, dude, 56 fights in, it's got to start wearing on you soon. You know what I mean? And going against a guy that's this high level at one particular thing, where Gegard Mousasi's always been really known as a well-rounded guy. He's not always really known as a crazy striker or a crazy grappler or anything like that. He's always been known as a really well-rounded fighter. And like you said earlier, he is very underrated. People haven't really. I think he got cut from the UFC after like a 5-fight win streak or some shit like that. So very underrated all throughout his career. Something like that, right? 4-5, 5-5, something like that.
I think he was on a good little streak. I'm trying to remember when he lost to Hall, but I think that was actually earlier in the UFC, and he ended up getting that win back too.
That was his last loss. He was then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He was 5-0 after that loss against top guys.
One of which being Uriah Hall again.
Santos, Uriah Hall, Vitor Belfort, Chris Weidman. Cut. I think he had a contract dispute or some shit. Comes to Bellator, goes on a 3-fight winning streak immediately, beating Rory McDonald, I think, for the title. Then loses to Lovato Jr., loses the title. Lovato Jr. retires because he's got some kind of condition or something like that. He couldn't fight anymore. They put him up against Machida. He wins the belt back. I think he went down in weight, right, to fight Diego Lima at 170, try to become double champ or something like that? Or no. Lima came up to 185 to try a challenge to become double champ at middleweight because he already had the belt at welterweight, right? And
I think that was McDonald.
Huh?
I think that was Rory McDonald.
No.
Yeah, I think Rory McDonald was the welterweight champ, came up to fight Mousasi.
So it was Lima, though, no?
Yeah, the champ versus champ was
vacant. It was vacant prior Mousasi. To that. I get it. I get what happened now. Okay, so I think Lima, I'm pretty sure Lima was a welterweight champion at the time, but they didn't give Mousasi the fight against Machida for the middleweight title. He just beat Machida in the meantime, and then the vacant middleweight title was against Lima, and he beat Lima. Now he's the title holder again. Yeah.
Sweet.
Anyway, I got Salter. I don't know where I was going with all that, but I got Salter for sure.
Oh no! Oh no! You got Salter for real?
Yeah. So we were worried about.
You're trying to give me back some wins from bad picks the other night. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make me feel better about myself.
These don't count.
These don't count.
These don't count.
I got Mousasi.
These are for the funskies.
Oh, your video's freezing up.
No, yours is.
Your audio's not though. My video's freezing up for real for you.
Your video is frozen as frozen can be. But yeah, I can hear you, babe.
Yours froze. Hold on.
We'll close it.
Oh, we're back. We're back. Dude, I think you're crazy for saying Salter's gonna beat Mousasi.
Nah,
I think I understand what you're saying. That Salter's no pushover. I think he's not beat a single great fighter in his entire career. Who that he's beaten is you could call as a great fighter.
I mean, can you not say the same for Mousasi?
No, what?
Who's great?
Great fighters? Dan Henderson, Jacare Souza, Lyoto Machida, Chris Weidman, Vitor Belfort.
Machida's the only one that won a title.
What? What are you talking about? Vitor Belfort was light heavyweight champion in UFC. Lyoto Machida was light heavyweight champion in UFC. Dan Henderson was Pride and Strikeforce middleweight champion. Jacare Souza was a Strikeforce middleweight champion. Chris Weidman was a UFC middleweight champion. Mark Hunt was a fucking K1 kickboxing champion.
Okay. So out of the UFC champions, because those are the ones that count, Machida,
Vitor,
and
Weidman.
Who are we saying great? Like gonna go into the Hall of Fame 100%. Like great fighters. Who are those three guys? Are great.
Vitor Machida.
No, Vitor. Come on. Vitor's 90% of Vitor's career is a lie. The dude was on TRT. He fell off TRT. He was a shitbag. He fucking didn't win.
No.
Vitor Belfort one significant fight after fucking USADA came in. Not one significant fight after USADA came in. And his body
he was on TRT after he got old, which is when you start doing TRT.
He was on TRT.
He went on TRT as a 25-year-old. He was on TRT as a 35-year-old.
He's 25 with traps up to the top of his ears, man. You are on.
Yeah, but he wasn't on TRT, bro. He was on steroids. Get it right.
Same thing. Either way,
so was Lyoto. Come on now.
I'm saying, out of the three people, the only one person that did it legit was Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman will never be known as a great in the sport.
Was Chris Weidman great? Was Chris Weidman really good before USADA and not really good after USADA?
No, he wasn't that good. He was all right.
He became middleweight champion before USADA.
Luke Rockhold is shit. Luke, what happened to Luke Rockhold since then? No wins. Knockout.
Yeah, that might even be more testament to what I'm saying. These guys were great, and then USADA came around, and then they weren't great anymore.
Oh, man. Either way.
In 2013 was pre-USADA. That's when Weidman became champ. And then like 2014 or something, 15 was when Rockhold became champ. 2015, I believe, was when USADA came around. And all of a sudden, these guys suck ass.
So you're going to tell me a guy like Luke Rockhold or Chris Weidman, their bodies look like they have any kind of performance-enhancing shit in it?
I don't think there's a definite what your body looks like because there's different body types. There is no definite your body looks like you're on
You
PEDs.
can tell when you're jacked as fuck, and then you're not jacked as fuck and you look flabby. Does Chris Weidman and Luke Rockhold ever in their entire career look jacked as fuck?
There's different types of PEDs. They don't all make you jacked. They're not all like anabolic steroids.
Dude, any kind of
EPO doesn't make you jacked.
It made TJ Dillashaw jacked. What do you mean?
Nah.
He's
a tiny guy. Of course he's cut.
Ab muscle was the size of a fucking 8x12 brick, man. This guy was jacked.
It made his nipples puffy.
He was jacked, man. The nigga was jacked.
I don't know, man. Nate Diaz is definitely on steroids. He's skinny.
Anything, no, insane. Nate Diaz is the only one that never did it in his life. Best fighter in the world. Nate Diaz, Melvin Gillard, top two.
I see why you think Salter's going to win.
Yeah, thanks. We'll come back to this.
Anything can happen, man. Salter's legit. He's legit grappler for sure.
Yeah.
Good experience. So.
The card's got a couple extra, fights on it that I think are pretty good. I mean, not enough for us to preview them or anything, but Pam Sorensen, she's a pretty good up-and-comer. Hopefully Bellator holds on to her. Danny Stabello, he'll be fighting Johnny Campbell. Campbell's kind of like a veteran guy. Stabello's 16-1. The rest of the guys are, fairly no-namers, newcomers. I think the first fight of the night is both guys are making their professional debut. So, kind of lackluster. It sucks having a week without UFC, but
Yeah.
It's
UFC is best in the world, buddy.
PFL on Friday too, so
Yeah. Well, anyway, man, good show, good debates. Unfortunately, I didn't know a whole lot about a lot of these guys, you know. So
yeah, but me neither. Bellator is kind of like the UFC is killing it right now because they stack almost every card, and every card it's hard to find people you don't know. You know, people making their debut are always really hyped coming out of other places, and then Bellator,
yeah,
it's kind of their promotion level is a lot lower, which is understandable. You know, you got less revenue, less money coming in, you got less money for promotions, so it's understandable why it is that way. But it's the way it is. You know, you're not going to really know 50-60% of the card most of the time. You know what I mean? They're gonna
yeah.
have
And I tell you, man, these big media companies, you know, big MMA news, sports news places, you know, they promote UFC way more. Makes sense because the fan base, you know, it's what people want to hear about. People want to hear about the best. I mean, dude, on social media, you know, I follow all these big MMA news places. And I mean, the amount, like the ratio from UFC news to any other organization news is so skewed in UFC's favor as well. So, you know, if you're not like really hardcore paying attention to it, like I think you're a little more hardcore than me, paying attention to like, I guess what someone might call like unknown fighters, you know, knowing who they are and knowing about them and everything, you know, then you're not going to know much about them. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the only reason I would have to say behind that is, as far as the media outlets covering more UFC, is because, you know, media outlet, the only way they make money is from clicks and views and shit like that. And there's clicks and views in the UFC than any other promotion or any other kind of in anything. You know, I mean, they cover UFC and then they cover Conor McGregor no matter what he does, and then they'll cover the fucking weird shit. They'll cover the Logan.
They start putting out news stories about Everett Cummings. People are like, "Who the fuck is that guy?"
Yeah,
or fucking some Sabali or whatever that guy's name is, Hamasi. Yo, Hamasi, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I may have heard of that guy." They go look into it. They're like, "Why are we talking about this guy?" You know?
Hamasi would get some clicks, man, because here's the thing. Another thing about those guys, and the reason that like a lot of people know those guys, because the Ultimate Fighter. You know, it just brings another.
Was he on there?
So Hamasi, yeah, he was on Black Zillions versus American Top Team.
Oh, sweet.
He had a big beef with Kamaru Usman because he called Kamaru Usman out for putting his fingers in the cage, and they got a fight in the house. Remember? And remember they were gonna barricade the locker rooms because the weigh-ins was at their gym or some shit like that, and they weren't gonna let the guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, everything the UFC has done, and I try to get into this with my dad all the time. My dad tries to tell me, "Oh, it's gonna change one day. They're gonna do co-promotions. They're gonna do all this shit." But nah, dude, they got such a good format for being the best, controlling media, controlling the way that they are looked at in an MMA community. Why would they change anything? The Ultimate Fighter, fucking beautiful for promotion. Look for a fight, beautiful for promotion. Fucking Dana White's Contender Series, beautiful. They got everything laid out to where they could be the best. Why would they share their popularity with any other promotion?
I agree. Not only would they be sharing it, but they'd also be taking a huge risk. What if their guy that they headline this fight with loses to the Bellator guy? That's a huge risk for them to take. All of a sudden, everyone goes, "Oh, so not all the best fighters are UFC." I mean, you know, a guy like Diego Lima or Gegard Mousasi could certainly be top guys still. I mean, maybe like you said, Mousasi might be on the decline, but you know, a guy like that could definitely beat one of the top guys in UFC. So why even take the chance? You know,
Michael
to have like, yeah, I mean, but now he's a UFC fighter. You know?
Yeah, but he was,
and he's technically not the best because he got beat
by the champ. In Bellator fighting for their titles back and forth, the champion. He came in.
So was Eddie Alvarez. So was, you know, a lot of these guys coming from back in the day when Pride came over.
But
you know, I mean, so they did that, but only when those fighters were now UFC fighters. But when you're talking, this guy's a Bellator fighter, this guy's a UFC fighter, let's have them fight for this co-promotion. When the Bellator fighter beats the UFC fighter, that's very bad for UFC.
You know why it's a little bit different though from Alvarez and shit is because back when Alvarez was fighting in Bellator, there was also Strikeforce, which was under the UFC, and Bellator has never been like oh, you're signed with us, you can only fight with us. That's why you see people's records and there's one fight in Bellator, then they got like 3 fights in other promotions, back to Bellator, because they never really
Yeah, like
cared.
Cummings.
Where with Alvarez, when they came to Bellator, they may have came to Bellator, fought, but then they may have had an appearance in Strike Force or something else, so they might have already been seen as Strike Force, UFC, Pride, whatever, and it might not get the recognition of Bellator. A guy like Michael Chandler has is kind of like one of those guys that they're trying to bring up, build their career through Bellator, so that they're known as a Bellator fighter. And then he went to the UFC, won his first fight, knocked him out.
Yeah.
Dan.
No, you got a point. I mean, and he is known as a Bellator fighter. I see people say it all the time. That guy from Bellator, that Bellator guy. Yeah, I see it all the time. So yeah, that makes sense.
The Pitbull brothers, same way. Fucking that kid that just won.
Your audio went out. You can't hear me now? All right, guys. I think this is going to be it for the video. We out. He's trying to tell me something. I don't know what it is, but the audio cut out.
I'm here. You can hear me now?
Oh. No, I can't hear you.
Yo, so.
Huh? He's going to think I can hear him because I said, no, I can't hear you. But the audio went out again right after I said that. Later, guys. Thanks for watching. Tune in next Tuesday. We will be reviewing some more fight cards. Peace.